Hi, Harry here with the rant on September 20th. What a time for a rant, okay? If you're not confused, there's something's wrong with you, okay? Even the Federal Reserve, I think, they're trying to control this whole boom and bust thing here. But even I think they're confused that the big tightening they made previously did not hit harder by now, and they are trying to ease and loosen to be ahead of the game again because a recession is likely to occur if they don't do something now. And this is all because of that year and a half. And I really think the year and a half lag, which is more real now, is extending even further because of the magnitude of this stimulus. So the lags is what makes monetary policy so confusing. So the first thing to do is to step back and look at the big picture. What has happened here? After the biggest crash in a long time, is I forecast decades before it happened, and the baby boom peaked in spending and downturn, slow down the economy. 2008-9, we went down hard. Well, the Federal Reserve and central banks, EU, around the world, everybody stepped in big and giant stimulus program. I've documented $27 trillion in combined fiscal and monetary since 2008 in response to that crisis. And they would have thought the first trillion would have been enough. But it shows, the amount of stimulus shows how deep a downturn we would have had it at. As I've been saying forever, this would have been more like the 1930s. Maybe not quite that extreme, but much more like the 1930s depression, long depression, than the 1970s long inflationary recession. Because deflationary downturns follow bubble booms, and they're always deeper. There's always more excesses, okay? So the question is, has this stimulus really hit fully? And I think not. I think it's going to continue to hit, and that they are behind the curve here. And at least they stepped up 50 basis points instead of 25. That was the only intelligent thing they've done here. And so we still have to be cautious. I'm just saying this is confusing. There's nobody, again, not confused here that I've seen. Any market newsletter, anybody else. I mean, I most follow Robert Prechter and Stan Harley, okay? And Robert and I have been almost total agreement that this is huge, big, greatest bubble in history, going to be major burst, major depression, in the end of it, no other two ways around it, even if it's delayed a little bit, okay? Well, Stan Harley was more like, well, the economy's doing okay. Well, he has finally, just recently, gotten signs of a major top, okay? So now the two most people I respect, other than my own research, are saying the same thing as I am. So we still have to assume the bearish scenario, and that means that the markets win over central banks, okay? Because the markets are bigger. Financial assets in the world, I pointed out, $630 trillion. That's the biggest number in the world, not this amount trillion of stimulus or 9 trillion balance sheet, okay? And that's how much they ran it. They ran it up $8 trillion, okay? And they've only backed it off $2 trillion, but at the same time, they've raised interest rates 525 basis points. So that is the biggest tightening we've seen ever, okay? So we still have to assume this until we see otherwise. So I just tell people, look, just be cautious here. Don't lose your head. Don't listen to the confusion. If we don't see the economy feel this tightening more profoundly by the end of the first quarter of next year, and that's not that long, that's just 5 to 6 months from now, then I'm going to have to, go back to look at things and reconsider everything, okay? But I still feel like we still have the crash of our lifetime ahead of us, and instead of it happening when it normally would, the normal cycle, which I predicted was happening and would have happened without 27 trillion, would have been that first crash in 2008 and 9, would have lasted into mid-2010 and gone even deeper, okay? Higher unemployment, another 50%, all that sort of stocks down another 10, 20%, okay? And then we would have had a sideways market for a while, and then we would have had a final crash between late 2019 and 22, and we'd be coming out of this in 2023-24 with the millennials, instead of now still having a massively stimulated economy that still has to unwind in the greatest bubble yet to burst. So stay with me here. I'll keep you updated, which I have in the newsletter, and I still think the great crash is ahead.